Hey, good morning, everybody. It's time for our show, which is Be Encouraged. And on Tuesdays, as you know, I've got my co host, my main man, the man with the plan, the super coach. Here he is, DP. DP, are you with me?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. God bless you, and I'm glad you're on the show today. Hey, listen, we haven't talked to you in a couple weeks because you've been busy as busy. But
hmm
congratulations, the new owner of 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln, Nebraska. There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh, oh man,
That's awesome.
I can't. I still kind of wake up each day and you go, wow, like this is a thing. Um,
Yeah,
that it actually happened. The process is a long process. Dealing with the FCC and the government at that level, it is a closed club pretty much. Like it's very hard to a club very hard to get into. Lots of hoops to jump through, and they've been jumped. It's official, and man, there's lots of work to do,
yeah,
but but I've gotten firmly into not using I have to, and in exchange using I get to,
yeah,
and I get to do some amazing things all day. uh, it's the gig that never sleeps, but
yeah.
I'll get comfortable in that. It's a wonderful opportunity and a tremendous blessing. So,
That's cool. I'm so happy for you, you and your wife. I know it's an endeavor that you guys put into together,
mhm.
and that's a blessing to have a partner who's your soulmate that's there to root you on and cheer you on and and just be that sounding board. You come home after a day of, like you said, some issues, some COVID issues in the building, and that's everyone's experiencing that, of course. And you've got things that are beyond your control, and that's frustrating. But to be able to come home and let off some steam and say, "Oh, this and that happened, and this and that," and for her to be that encouraging word that I expect she is, uh, you know, it's got to be a blessing in and of itself. And like you said, that's an encouraging word for everybody. It's not that I have to do this; it's I get to do this, and that translates also to sports and to working with your team, and that comes from your knowledge as a coach also. um, you've got all kinds of young men who are saying, do I have to, coach? It's a, and to be able to look at it and say, you get to, son.
Well, not everybody gets to wear the uniform. Not everybody gets the applause. Not everybody gets the attention. Um, it works for me. Like I'm not sure that I could do this if I wasn't a coach and didn't know how to get through difficult and tough times. So being able to manage folks from a team standpoint to honor the mission that we have each day, and then to remind folks of why we're here and why we do this. It everybody we know would love to do what we do. So we have to work it as though it is the blessing and the joy
Yes.
it is. So I constantly remind folks we get to do this. Not everybody does. Um, Enjoy it. Don't ever let it become a burden.
No.
Uh, Go through, as my buddy Chip Baker likes to say, grow through whatever you go through, and that's what.
Grow through what you go through. That's
Uh,
nice. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Listen, so and the nice other thing is, being a coach, you're an encourager and a motivator, and um, I imagine people, no matter where you are, what you're doing, you have downtime. We talk about that all the time. People need to understand that in this day and age, it's okay to go to the coach and say, "Coach, I'm sucking wind." I need to know. And then you have the opportunity, now that you know that, you have the opportunity to pump them up, give them some encouraging words, help them get through it. And there's no consternation there. And I think in most cases, I've seen coaches go, "You're what? You're tired?" But then they come back around, it's like, what's going on? Why are you tired? That kind of thing. You think coaches are all harsh at first, but then they're there for you, and no time to be tired right now. Put it on the back burner. Let's go after it, and then come back at it and say, okay, now you said you were tired earlier when I told you you weren't. Tell me about why that is.
Yeah, well, fatigue rarely is connected to mission and purpose.
Yeah.
Like if you know why.
And I don't mean tired physically necessarily.
Yeah, no,
I'm talking about not tired mentally,
Yeah, it helps to get over that mental hump that, like, I haven't had a bad day at work in years.
That's good.
I've never had to go to a practice and felt like, oh man, I got to go to practice. It's that gotta thing, No.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. If you understand your mission and your purpose, like,
right,
why you were put here. Look, I'm put here to make opportunities for folks and to love on folks. That's real simple. So once I know that, and I get up and go, oh man, I get to love people today. Like, in whatever situation it is. And if you're fatigued, love requires that I see you as you are and say as you are, and that it's good enough. Look, I coached 3 sports in five states, and I don't think I've ever had a conversation with players about fatigue. That the work was being done because we collectively agreed why we were there. And when you have a purpose, it's not work. It's not work. Like, it's not like I go to the station. I've never had the alarm go off and go, oh boy, here we go. No, I've never done that. I've never done that in outside of coaching, to be comfortable in that. My wife likes to, like to say thank you when we do things for other people. And I'm like, that's not necessary. Like, it's appreciated. But me getting a chance to love on folks and watch people blossom and shine and grow, that's like, man, if you can't get up and find a smile for that, you
right,
missed out. Like, you missed it to get out and go, wait a minute, like this, like being on your platform, and let me thank you publicly for sharing me, right? Like, this is like, people go, well, why do you do it? Are you getting paid for it? No, I am getting paid for it. The benefit in it for me is that if anybody on this day needed you and I to have a conversation to get through their day, right? It only takes one, and it's rarely just one.
right.
I get to say thank you and that I'm appreciative because I am. Man, look, you're worldly. You have friends, right? You don't need to hear from me, but you choose to and ask to. So I don't, like, I make time for this because I win. Like, this is when you get to say thank you out loud. Every time I say thank you and that I'm grateful and appreciative, my skin clears up, and my eyes clear up and my voice strengthens because you've given me the opportunity to love on people and be loved back. And that's why we're here. That's
Well,
all
let me tell you, I'll give you the Chick-fil-A answer. My pleasure, because it truly is. It's I'm there at my pleasure. I'm there because I want to be there. I'm there, and it goes both ways. I remember I've come across managers who were not good managers, and I had a manager one time tell me, I need you to do this. And I said, listen, you know what? I'm happy to help you in any way I can, but I've got other things that are happening, and I'm here at my pleasure. The reason I work here is because I want to work here, and I want to do as much as I possibly can, but I'm not here I lost us all for a second
you
there.
go.
That's all right. But anyway, thank you. It's thank you too. I mean, I love having you on. You are an inspiration to me. It's truly great, and I was so entirely happy that I got to meet you when you came into town the other day, and that was so awesome. Anytime you're in town, please hit me up because I would love to catch a time to just mission. You know.
You're underwater. There you go. You're back. You were underwater for a bit. It sounded, you sound like you were the old Kraftwerk.
Oh.
Beatbox. Well, that also brings to the forefront another blessing. Of course, we met when I came back to DC for for the Impact of Influence tour.
Oh, that's right.
For Volume 1, and so we got to come back, and you got to meet Chip Baker, and he got to meet all of you guys. Well, it's another big week because in 5 days, this Saturday we release the Impact of Influence Volume 2, and the official release party is Saturday at 1 Eastern. Of course, you are welcomed, and anybody that you can.
Yep. If I can push it in, I'm going to be there. So yeah.
Yeah, you can find in. I mean, it'll be 30 minutes, and it's just a process of meeting some of these authors. It's not the same group of authors as it was on the first one. Some of them are,
right.
aren't. And again, that thing where you've got to promote it and you got to do all the podcast appearances and all the radio appearances. As a matter of fact, I had Chip Baker on the show yesterday. Talking about it, and it's another opportunity. Like we'll get back on tour, and we'll visit our stops. I'm pretty sure somewhere in DC we'll be back on the board.
Good.
Chance for us to get together in a room and love on each other, which is really the entire purpose of the book. But this book, and the first one I wrote about family, and in this one, I decided to write about community. And in Arlington, Virginia, especially back in the 60s and 70s, there was still some segregation. But there was a group that bypassed all of that. And sports doing what sports does is that it blends blurry lines for you. It removes them often. But there was a community of folks in Arlington, Virginia, where race didn't matter. It didn't matter. If you were family, you were family. If you played ball, we were brought together in huddles and in locker rooms where color didn't matter, and people got along for the greater good. And then those folks became family. Those folks became lifelong friends. I mean, a lot of the people that were in the room that you were in with us were a member of this community.
Yes.
And in Fairfax, I mean, you can think of Braddock Road, you can think of the Vienna Raiders, you can think of the Annandale Bulldogs, you can think of various points, the Falls Church Mustang, where the groups were where families met and looked out for each other and came together. Well, in Arlington, that group for me was the Black Knights, and the Black Knights was this group of just families that, like, if my mom was busy, somebody else's mom stepped up. If my brother was in pain, I stepped up. If somebody's sister needed help, we stepped up. If anybody's dad was everybody's dad, and that's the power of community. That's the real beauty of how you identify that within a community there are families, and those families blend and become one. And we played ball together, and in those spaces, it was magical. It was magical that black brother, white brother would get along, and that's why sports mattered so much to me. Was that it was a place where we could put down some of the things that would keep us apart, and love existed. So this chapter for me means a lot because I get to say thank you
Yeah.
to families that looked out for me. Pretty special. Uh, and some of those folks are still around. I mean, there's some legendary folks who came from the Black Knights, and the family names. I could rattle off 40 names and still not hit all the families that I'm still friends with now.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with these guys, 50 years, 40 years later, 50 years later,
Hmm.
because the relationship was true, the action was honorable, and love existed. So, and wherever love exists, you don't run from, you always run back to. So, I'm excited to be able to share it with. As a matter of fact, I think you're the first person that I've told what the chapter was. But it'll be out Saturday, and I'm proud of being able to represent Northern Virginia, Arlington, and of course the Black Knights.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that I can't wait. I mean, I can't wait to take a look at it, and can't wait to get my signed copy
Yes,
from
sir.
with Chip Baker and you
Yes,
and
sir.
some of the other authors, but
Yes, sir.
mostly. And it's really fun. I've really built this relationship with, not built, but kind of have a relationship with Chip now too, where I just look at see all his Facebook stuff. I comment. He responds. I just, what a great, I was on his TSC show.
Mm-hmm.
He invited me on and we had it. I don't think it's aired yet, but
Sure.
exciting stuff. He's just such a neat man. And he's just, he's like you in that his influence on people is very broad but also specific,
Yeah.
and that's important. There's lots of people who can have a broad impact on people, but then to also have that specific impact on people's hearts, that you do, that Chip does, that I think I do too. It's hard for people to be introspective and see that in themselves, but it's important that other people tell people when they see that, and they see that's a special gift to be able to broadly see people and then to get specific with them. It's definitely something that is a gift of God. I think. I mean, I think it's a God given kind of type of thing. I mean, you
Well,
can
be
definitely
present.
work, huh?
Well, be present.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like again, the greater mission is an accumulation of smaller facts, traits, and it's really cool just to be able to look at people and look them in the eye, right?
that's
Look them
right.
in the eye and acknowledge them. And then one of my favorite phrases, love out loud, that you get an opportunity. If you see love, say love. Um, it's important, and it isn't done enough, but we're getting better at it because there's an army of folks that are speaking to it.
Amen. And Love Prince that you do also is another situation where um, things are happening and things are going on, and that's exciting. I love that whole concept that you have, and that's kind of what the concept is there. You see love, you say love, and you be love. And when you're being loved, you're spreading that to them. And giving them an opportunity to also bask in that love, and to open your heart up and let them dive in is a special ability, and everyone has that ability, I believe. It's just, they may not know how to access that, and may not know how to make that happen. But I just, that just occurred to me, by the way, Derek. You It's an act of opening up your heart and letting people dive in.
Mhm.
It's open to the public, and I love the visual. Actually, just came
Yeah.
up with it.
Well,
So
there spoke to a young baseball group here in Nebraska, and it said, there's several facets to Love Prince, but in its simplest term, that leave everything and everyone more covered in love than when you found them.
Hmm.
Like, that's a responsibility, but it's a very cool responsibility. Is that
Indeed.
if I engage somebody, stranger or friend, that if my mission is, and I'm aware that my mission is to leave them more covered in love than I found them, then that changes how I approach them. And then it goes further to say that love requires action. Like, we all say we love, but action is required in order for that love to be received by the person or the object that you're choosing to. And that action requires love. That, you can be busy, but if it's not love based, if it's not love as the mission, you're not accomplishing anything good. So the adage goes, uh, love without action, love is good, but if nothing is done, it isn't received. And action without love is busyness without a positive effect. But together, love and action can accomplish anything. And that there's the line that whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your work, if you don't love it and you're just busy, you're still miserable. But if you love it, if you have a reason why you love it and you know why you're doing this, it's never work. And the action is always good because you're creating something that's good and decent and needed. And then the final part is that cover those you care about in love so much that nothing else can stick. And that's in relationships, that's us as parents, as teachers. Like I said, if the parents love their kids and those kids leave the house covered in love, when the thing other than love shows up, your child knows what love feels like. They know what it sounds like. They know what's right. And they can say, listen, no thanks. I can't do that. And then they take it to school and they're next to a kid who's had a rough morning, but the love that's on them affects that child next to them, and it allows them to cover that child in love, which in turn can cover the next. And the teacher notices that in that room, the teacher can cover all of those kids in love and send them out of her classroom into school with love on them for everybody else, and then the school into the community and so on. And it works in relationships because, listen, there are options and considerations out there, but it's my job, it's your job to cover your significant other so much in love that when that other thing approaches,
Mm.
it's not necessary. They
Right.
know, like, listen, no, I'm good. I have love. I have love. That's the whole purpose of it. So whether it's a stranger, whether it's a pet, somebody's dog, somebody's whatever, right? When they approach you, the mission should be to cover them in love. And I had a 12-year-old boy say, and he drew the picture and he said, I know what a love print is. It's like if my hands had love as paint on them, and everything that I touched, that love was left behind. And if we all do it right, we all have these hands covered in love that we just simply put on each other all day. And
That's right.
nobody would ever go without being loved. And we would also be aware
Hmm.
that, oh, that person isn't covered in love. Let me fix that. And
Right.
so that's the entire mission and purpose of all this stuff that we do.
And I don't think that it's become any harder to do that. But I'll say this: one of my ways of love is physical, and that is to say a handshake. Whether it's like they say, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's physical. It's a chest bump. It's a hug.
Hmm.
The problem is, but then they they say, how do I say this? I mean, I want to say the devil, but there's a certain aspect that knows how powerful that is, and they've turned it to be something that people think is a bad thing. To touch somebody, to give them a hug, to put a hand on their shoulder. These are things that luckily coaches can still do with their kids on the sideline. You know what I mean? Give them a pat on the back, whatever as they're going in, punch them in the chest as they come off after making a big run, whatever. I saw that this weekend. I saw the guy coming off the field and the coach goes, boom, he just punched him right in the chest. knocked him back, but the smile that came off this guy's face, loving that the coach just gave him a shot, was a beautiful thing, and that's impactful. That's it. That's something that people don't as much, I don't think, understand and respect as they used to. But still, in the coach's realm, that grabbing a kid by the shoulder pads and bringing him in and saying, "Hey, you're doing great. Just keep doing what you're doing." That's important.
Most people recognize what love is and where love is welcome. What I was taught early on is the offering. That from a distance, a smile is the invitation to lessen distance, and the smile often is acknowledged by another smile.
Yes.
Offering the hand to somebody is the statement that I would like to be in this space with you. It's an acknowledgement. Yes. And then the hug is the open arm.
Yeah.
If somebody walks into that with open arms, then two people hug and it becomes a thing. And
that's correct. Yeah.
It is when those things aren't offered and they are just assumed that there's issue. I always tell people I tell people I'm a hugger. Like when you and I met, we're both huggers. So we
didn't even have to communicate that. We just gave each other a hug.
It's the communication. Again, it's love out loud. It's I would love to hug you. And then you get the acknowledgement and you get the acceptance. There are people that use it for other. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about giving people a place where love is welcomed and appreciated. And
yes,
it's all in the offer and the communication.
Absolutely. Well, as always, we are thankful for your time. I know your time is ever more precious than it has been in the past. And, God bless you. I just love having you on the show. To me, you're an MOG, and we'll just have to band together. And one of these days, I'm going to get shirts made or something.
Yeah, man.
But you know what? You don't have to have shirts made. People know when you're an MOG by your actions. And the other thing was, you were talking about love. We have on our radio station these More Joy Thought of the Day that I have a friend that voices those. And one of them is, this is a More Joy Thought of the Day. Love is a verb. Think about that. And it is absolutely a verb. Yeah.
Action required.
Thank you, my friend. Peace out to you. And love and joy to you and your beautiful wife and your new endeavors, man. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy.